I have hair again. What do we do with this? Doesn't matter. Spent all day digging post holes out in the field, so if my cheeks look a little red, it's from the Baja sun. But that is not what this video is about. Okay, I thought I would check in on this topic because I know both of these women. One of them not very well at all, just spent a day with Lexi. Izzy and I did when we were in Chiang Mai, Thailand almost 2 years ago. We spent a day with Lexi and her boyfriend at the time. They were such nice people. Izzy was my girlfriend of a year and a half. I forever love Izzy. She's an amazing, smart, intelligent, beautiful human being who has done a lot to help animals on the internet. And so this video is there's zero hate in this video. This is not a bashing video. I actually am making this response video to Lexi's video saying why she's not vegan anymore because it's the best coming out as non-vegan, breaking veganism video I've ever seen. She kept it so real. It was no bullshit, and she honestly owned up to the reasons that she started eating animals again. I'm making this video not to hate on either of these two women. I'm actually not going to be talking about Izzy at all. It's in the same light why I think both Izzy and Lexi, after years of being vegans and knowing about the ethical reasons why they dropped veganism and started eating animal products again. It makes me sad when my friends eat animals, even though it's a part of their own healing process. It definitely was in the case of Izzy. By the way, the reason I don't feel bad saying any of this is Izzy put out all this information on the internet. Izzy, just like me, has struggled with disordered eating, and she felt that it was really important in her recovery to completely take any restriction out of her lifestyle and eat animal products once in a while. I don't talk to Izzy too much these days, but the last time I saw her, she was eating some animal products, and honestly, she was way healthier and happier than I've ever seen her. So it makes me sad when my friends think that they need for their health to harm animals, but it's a free world, and I guess you can do whatever you want. But what this video is about, and I'm really excited to, critique and comment on Lexi's points. I'm gonna go through her video play by play, and I'm gonna explain some things that come out to me in terms of why people drop veganism, because it's a really important concept. We can't afford having people drop veganism, okay? There's too many animals that need our help. So please watch this whole video, because I'm sure there's gonna be some parts of Lexi's video that I disagree with, and I'll explain why, and I bet there are parts of it that I will agree with and even show admiration for her for being so bold and honest on the internet. Okay, let's get into this.
I'm not vegan anymore for a few reasons. If you're gonna go vegan, if you want to do it, I think you should do it. I was like, let me help out. You know, my dad was always like, turn off the lights, don't like waste energy, turn off the lights when you leave a room. I can't even think of another example, not important, but I just wanted to help out in some way, and animal agriculture, reduction of meat, was one of the #1 ways to reduce your water. And I was like, I don't really love meat, so I was the prime candidate for this, you know.
Beautiful. That's why I went vegan too, and probably all of us. We want to be a part of the social justice movement. We love animals, and why not be a part of something where we can make that activist choice 3 times a day to go against the establishment and against violence and be vegan? It makes total sense.
I found the high carb, low fat community, and like they're these like skinny, glowing, young, beautiful women and men that are just eating fruit and eating huge amounts of it, and they're losing weight, and they're thriving, you know. Their skin, all of their acne has gone away. They've declined in age 20 years. The miracle claims got to me. I believed in every single one of them. So I went from being vegan to being high carb, low fat vegan.
So Lexi goes vegan for the ethical and social justice reasons, and then being just a consumer of vegan content on the internet, as we all are when we start to go vegan, she found this other community and got hooked into the raw till 4 high carb whole phenomenon, the weight loss, the fitness, the body image. You know, you can still care about those things and also be an ethical vegan, right?
Going high carb, low fat vegan, that's where I did feel a divide, where I was more strong in this belief system than I was about my social life, about how I presented myself. I didn't care. All I cared is that I was following this diet, and my whole train of thought, my whole daily, sorry about my phone going off, my brain just, I isolated myself into this one box of thinking, and I cared more about following this diet than anything else. That diet was so important to me that it consumed my thoughts. Like, I woke up and lived every single day just thinking about the meals that I was going to be eating, and that's the most focus I've ever put on food in my entire life.
Being raw till 4 and having this certain body image takes priority in her life all of a sudden, and I can sympathize with that, because it's not like she did that just because, like, oh, I want to become a professional bodybuilder. No, we do it out of peer pressure. Like, if you have no interest in being a professional athlete or a professional model and need to have 0% body fat, but you find yourself all day consumed in this lifestyle, also maybe forgetting about the ethical side, which is the crux here. Lexi went vegan for the ethics, but then got distracted by the peer pressure and feeling jealous and the ego and all of that, seeing all of these other people on this specific vegan diet. She got obsessed with the diet, not the initial principal reason of the ethics, and this is the crux here.
Just kept following this diet aimlessly, just being brainwashed into believing that if I had 23 peaches for lunch, that I was gonna get skinny and look really great. And suddenly my shift went from helping the environment to just blindly following this list of food rules to look a certain outcome.
I eat raw till 4 most days. I like nutrition. Certain times in my past I put way too much emphasis on nutrition, but I have never ever felt in my heart or let diet, body image, and nutrition take a higher priority than ethics. It just has never, I mean, I'm so passionate about animals and about animal rights.
I was thinking about food nonstop, and I would feel really guilty if I ate something with oil, if I ate something with, I don't know, any sort of fat. I didn't like flax seeds, chia seeds, any high calorie fat food, even if it was like a healthy food or a superfood or anything like that. It didn't matter, it was bad. And that became quite unhealthy. And I'm already like slightly susceptible to mental illness. I've dealt with depression throughout my life, and this was manifesting in its own form, in the form of like disordered eating.
This is so sad. Like, right there, you developed an eating disorder for sure, like thinking you need to eat those big meals, feeling gross, looking at skinny people, being confused. Eating disorders are all on a spectrum. Some people are purging and have to go to a hospital, and then other people are like me. I've never purged in an eating disorder realm. I've obviously barfed before on accident, and I also never went to like a hospital, but I still had a full-blown eating disorder that took control over my life for more than 2 years, and I still battle with it today. So I'm pretty sure right here, even though, yeah, you probably didn't have an eating disorder, right here, Lexi probably develops one. She's a recent new vegan, sees all these people online that she's comparing herself to. She feels like she needs to adopt that practice, but it's skewing her life. It's weird with her family. Like, this is the foundation right here for an eating disorder.
The diet that I was following and veganism in general are like, this is a very small part of it, but this is the part that I fell into, and they became synonymous in my head. Like, if I was gonna be vegan, I was only gonna be vegan this way. High carb, low fat, or nothing. Like, it just wouldn't work.
Where did the ethics go?
You know, that's how my brain was telling me, which isn't true. It's not true. And if you don't fall into this, then you're not gonna have any problems.
This is like the key to the issue right here. I have never put the raw till 4 high carb lifestyle on a higher pedestal than being vegan. Is that Lexi's fault? Is that Durian Rider's fault? Is it Freely's fault? Is it the internet's fault? It's a combination of everything.
The breaking point was when my ex-boyfriend and I were driving across the country for me to come to New York. Anyway, I didn't pack the car with vegan snacks. We didn't even think about it. And we went through the middle of America, and we just were looking at each other like, how did we do this? Like, we really didn't really think this through at all. Like, but how, we didn't expect it. We didn't even know where we went wrong. So we...
Okay, this is where it gets personal to me. Lexi, if you're watching this, again, mad respect. I think this is the best coming out as a non-vegan anymore video ever, because you just own up to it and you're objective and it's cool. But I'm a world traveler on a bicycle. I just biked from Alaska here to Mexico over the last 7 months. I sometimes couldn't purchase food for 3 days and I had to carry everything on my bicycle and drink out of streams. And if you go and look at my Instagram or my YouTube channel during those times, I still ate like a king. I've driven across the country 2 or 3 times as a vegan. I've been to like over probably 7 countries. I've traveled more definitely than you, and definitely probably than 99% of people watching this. And go look at my Instagram. I've never had a day without eating epic food. Like, who's a vegan who goes on a road trip and doesn't think to stock your, like, go to the grocery store, spend 30 minutes stocking your car for a whole week and you're fine. Like, this part is hard because I know the excuse that she's giving isn't an actual excuse. It's not. Like, you can eat sweet potatoes, rice, pasta, veggies. You can find that anywhere at any grocery store and eat very well. You could have a camping stove in your car. You can microwave it. Like, look, I do it. So your issue that you had was not a result of veganism being a difficult thing when you're on a road trip. You just did a terrible job of planning for this trip.
Hotel breakfast buffets, they had mostly like eggs, bacon, sausage, greasy potatoes, coffee, and maybe some unripe melons. So I definitely remember eating the greasy potatoes and coffee for breakfast many mornings. It sucked. It was so miserable. Anytime like my stomach would growl, I was so resentful of it. I was like, no, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this.
Because like having instant oatmeal in your car and asking for hot water, it's just too crazy. And having like chia seeds, maybe a little cinnamon and peanut butter, that's just too much planning. It's just too difficult to be vegan. Not a legit excuse. Like the least legit excuse I've ever heard. You could not fit oatmeal in your car.
So then when we got back to his house, we were at his family's house. I remember we had slept the night and I got up in the morning and I went to the fridge and there were some eggs. And there were some eggs from the neighbor's farm. And I remember holding up that egg and looking at it and just thinking to myself, like, this egg isn't cruel. This egg comes from a chicken with the absolute best life. Like, this egg is a good egg. Like, I would love to be the chicken that laid this egg. I think this egg is great. And I remember having to convince myself so hard that I wasn't doing a bad thing when I was about to crack open this egg. And I was like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it.
It's very easy to convince yourself of things without knowing information. So I don't know this, but I'm just gonna pose the question. Lexi, did you walk over to that farm on your road trip and see with your eyes the chickens laying eggs? If you did, and they were happy chickens, then that's cool. I'm maybe philosophizing that if you didn't actually go over and look, but you just heard that these were your neighbor's free-range happy eggs, and then you immediately, because you clearly wanted to eat it, because you weren't thinking about the ethics anymore, you ate it and you justified saying, this is a great egg, I would be this chicken. Are you sure? Because I've stayed on dozens, maybe even hundreds at this point, because I'm always traveling in rural places around the world, but people's properties, including the place I'm at right now, with pretty happy chickens that even roam around free. But still, I wouldn't trade lives with those chickens, because people who own animals and extract their resources for food, even if they are your pets, and I see it even in places like this, it's so easy to justify that an animal is having a really good life. When you look at it objectively, no one pays attention to this animal. Maybe its feet are covered in shit. Maybe it didn't get enough water that day because the people were out of town. Like, no, you would not change lives with the happiest chicken in the world living on a farm. It's just really easy to tell yourself that, so it makes it easier to eat that egg. Exploiting a being for their natural bodily resources without that being's consent, there's just no way to do that 100% ethically. Do I think backyard chicken eggs are way better than a factory farmed cow? Yes, that's so much less unethical, but Is it like a complete wash, totally fine? No, I've seen these chickens that live on these small farms. I see them here. I would not change lives with those chickens, trust me.
Think of it like a religion, because it is, it's a whole lifestyle.
Oh, the two things I'm passionate about, veganism and talking about religion. And I never like to connect them.
I think that I want to be able to break it sometimes, but that's not cool with veganism. So think of it like you're Catholic. You believe in Catholicism, you know what it means and you agree with what it stands for. But if you don't go to church for a couple weeks, you're still a Catholic and you still believe what you believe. However, in veganism, you can believe everything that you believe. You can believe in the right for animals to live freely and we shouldn't eat them. You can believe that it's really destructive for the environment. You can believe that it's better to eat plant-based foods and put that in our body, and that's the #1 fuel that we should be living off of. You can believe all those things, but if you miss the mark, or you decide you want to eat an egg, or have like your grandma's cinnamon rolls at Christmas, or some chicken noodle soup that someone brings you when you're sick and they don't know that you're vegan, things like that, I want to be able to make those exceptions.
Here's why, and all right, let's have the followers just start dropping off right now, but I'm sorry, just gonna speak from the heart. Keep in mind, if you are a peaceful, religious person, I love you. You are a daughter or son of God, keep doing your thing. But it's okay to be a fake Catholic and break their ideology but still call yourself a Catholic, because it's not actually based in any reality. Veganism is not a religion. There's people of all different religious practices in the vegan movement, but there's no such thing as being a half vegan in the exact same way that there's no way in being a half non-racist person, because the minute that you violently harm someone or pay for a product that was involved in exploiting another animal, you're not vegan anymore, because that goes against the exact principle of what we're trying to fight against. Being a good person doesn't mean that you don't harm people 90% of the time. You know, if I punched people in the face 10% of my life, I couldn't call myself a good person. When you do that one act that you don't need to do, but it causes somebody else harm, that's so much different than like eating cheese and meat at the same time, which in the Jewish religion would be a terrible thing. It's because these religious values aren't based on real things. Probably some of them are, but veganism is totally different. It's not a religion, and it's the principle that you should never exploit animals. Just as being a LGBTQ advocate or supporter, ally, doesn't mean that you are anti-gay 0.01% of the time. It's different than religion. Social justice movements are different than religion. These things that are emotional and that you feel like you should be entitled to. You know, you should have your grandma's cinnamon roll. That's a right. I understand how you should feel like you should have all those things, but you're forgetting about what the consequences are of enjoying those things. I would love to not have to ask someone what was in their cake or cinnamon roll and eat it with them. But it's digging my head in the sand, because then I'm normalizing and contributing to something that I really, really firmly don't believe in, which is the exploitation of animals.
And if you're stronger than me, if you can say I'm gonna be vegan for the rest of my life, ultimately the difference between you and me is like you're stronger. I'm weaker than you. I tried to do that and I really thought I could do that, and I lived off of that for 2.5 years.
This is where Lexi deserves props over 99% of people who make these types of videos saying I'm not vegan anymore, because she's just owning up. She was weak. She just couldn't keep thinking about having to ask waitresses and the sacrifices. She was just like, fuck it, the ethics just aren't important to me enough. She chose to take her own convenience over the ethical reasons of being vegan 100%, and she's just owning up to it. It's kind of badass. I mean, it's not, but it is. I respect you, Lexi, I do.
Veganism was the first cause I ever cared about, and as I've gotten older, I've gotten introduced to more ideas, and there's more things that I care about, and there's other causes that I want to devote my time to, and I can credit a lot to veganism for even bringing me up with this idea to live for something larger than yourself.
Again, not a good excuse. I have so many friends in the Berkeley area and myself who are passionate about other social justice movements. I research and talk a lot about my YouTube channel about politics, getting money out of politics, the corruption in mainstream media and politics. I care about other social justice movements too. I also don't eat animals. You can be an activist for anything and just also not choose to pay for dead animals. So go be an activist on whatever you're passionate for, but if you also know the reasons why you should be vegan, it doesn't mean you need to be a vegan activist only. Just eat vegan personally, maybe don't even talk about it, and go devote all your activism energy into whatever you want. Moral of the story is that eating disorders suck, they take over your life, and they make you do irrational things and force you to make lifestyle changes just in order to survive. You know, these are two women, as I said, Lexi, which is what the video is about, and Izzy, I think, fell into the exact same situation here, where we get too obsessed with health and nutrition, even though we got into veganism for the right reasons, for the ethics. We get so deep into the ego and the health and nutrition and jealousy. Like, it's not even just ego, it's our society. We aren't praised as a culture, as you know, culture doesn't praise us for loving animals. We're praised if we have abs on our Instagram post. So it's really easy to become susceptible, especially with social media, to honestly lose sight of the reasons that you maybe got into veganism. Like, as you're watching this, do you relate to that? Did you really make a lot more posts about animal rights in the beginning and now really talk more about health and nutrition? It's an important thing to always keep in check, because I think it's easy to lose your veganism if you disconnect from that emotional reason of the animal rights issue. If it becomes a fitness thing, if it becomes a body image or sport thing, it might last for a year or two, as it did for these women, but it's not going to last forever. And then there's just the reality that some people are just gonna try it and think it's cool for a time and then just realize they want to move on, and that's just the world. You know, not everyone is gonna stick to their beliefs 100% of the time. Even though Izzy and Lexi aren't 100% vegan anymore, they're still probably gonna eat vegan 90% of the time. It's not like they're pulling a Nikocado avocado. I made a response video to him many years ago back, and that was not the same as this kind of video. I look up, in a way, to Lexi for being able to be open about this online, be honest, and say it's a combination of she developed an eating disorder, got too hooked into this crazy YouTube raw till 4 fitness lifestyle, and then her willpower just gave out and she said, fuck it, I want to be a normal human being. I get that. I totally get it. It's not my path. I'm so passionate about animal rights that regardless of the sacrifices, which I really don't even experience, or all the sacrifices are worth it to me because of how passionate I am about peace and not harming animals, and I don't think there should ever be an excuse to contribute to violence. But once your mental health leaves the picture, you're susceptible to doing anything. So really the moral of this video is not to hate on Lexi and it's not to hate on Izzy. It's to actually say, love yourself. Make sure your mental health is in check, because you can't be the best version of yourself and the most compassionate if you're harming yourself and you don't love yourself enough. It doesn't matter how you look, doesn't matter how ripped you are, none of that's gonna matter. This is just a body of flesh that is impermanent. You just need to be a compassionate person, do something good for the planet, and I'm sure these women are gonna do great things for the planet. It's just sad for me to hear now that they feel like they have to contribute to animal suffering in order to do that. I honor that we're all on our divine path. My divine path is definitely staying vegan for life. Much love, Dream Extreme. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and check out the vlog. If you don't know, I'm a daily vlogger. I have over 1,000 YouTube videos traveling the world eating vegan food on a bicycle. Much love, Dream Extreme.